we good? All right. I still have 1 minute on mine though.
Did you?
All right.
There you go.
Well, let's call the meeting to order. All board members are present. Miss Samora, would you lead us in the pledge and the salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, whose a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you. Approval of tonight's agenda.
I move to approve the October 21st, 2025 agenda.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Approval of the September 16th regular board meeting minutes.
Move to approve September 16, 2025 regular board meeting agenda minutes. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Public comment? No public comment. Reports back.
So we had our meeting last Wednesday, the 15th. And we started discussing career day because that's going to be here faster than we want. And we also had a presentation by Miss Greer, Opal Greer, for the Gifted Students Program. And open, what am I trying to say? Parents and teachers were able to recommend students for through August through September, if I'm not mistaken. And then they're going to test the 3rd and 6th grade.
Screen the third.
Screen the 3rd and 6th grade to see what other potential students we have to be involved in the gifted program. It was a really good presentation though. And then what else did we talk about? I'm sorry. I can't remember.
During the career day, we talked about the possibility of seeing, opening up to some other schools joining us.
Yes.
When we get there.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
we're looking into it to see if we can.
We got numbers from the other high schools. Mr. Patterson got numbers from the other high schools to see who we can involve. And we're looking at sending a survey out to the kids before we start getting a hold of too many people to see like what they're interested in. And that way we can kind of cater more
Target.
to the students instead of just us picking and hoping that they
Right.
find something. We do want to make time at the end of the day too for the students to walk around. Last year we had a lot of companies bring a QR code or they had more information that the kids could find online, but they had to go back to class. And so it's going to be a little too chaotic to unlock their phones, let them do that, and then send them back and have to lock their phones again. So we're looking into that too. So.
Okay.
We're talking about keeping it pretty much targeted at high school kids. For us, 9 through 12, probably the visiting schools, just their junior, senior classes, so we can keep the numbers manageable and do some different things for our middle school kids that still spark interest in careers, but maybe bring speakers in for them this year and see how that works. Because it was either too low for the high school kids or it was too high for the middle school kids.
Yeah. And we do have a few of the companies who said they would mind doing one-on-one. So.
Good. Any questions? Thank you. Ms. Perla.
Total enrollment pre-K 3 through 12th is 134 kids. There are 2 pre-K 3 kids, 4 pre-K 4 kids, 73 kids in K through 5, 21 at the middle school, and 34 at the high school. So K through 12 is 128 kids.
Last summer, huh?
1.
Just one?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought it was higher. Okay.
The end of the first 9 weeks was on the 9th, and then report cards were mailed out on the 20th. Natural helpers today, Ms. Varela and Ms. Vallejos took 8 students to Benito Park to participate in natural helpers. Tomorrow, 3rd through 6th graders will go to Spencer Theater and do a flamenco dance. That's what they'll be watching tomorrow. Tomorrow also, the 10th graders will participate in the PSAT. And then on Thursday, the juniors and the seniors will go to the college career fair at PNMU in Ruidoso. There's a home volleyball game Thursday as well, and that's cancer awareness. The last football game is scheduled for the 24th, so this Friday. Then we have 6 students attending National Convention, and they leave on the 25th of October and return November 4th. And Mr. Howard and Mrs. Howard will be the ones taking the 6 kids.
Just them?
Yes, because there's only 6 kids. They only need 1 suburban.
They want suburban this time, so.
Why are the numbers so low?
Because he tries to take the kids who haven't been. So this year's freshman class only has 5 kids, and one of them is not going. So, and then we have 1 student who's graduating early. She participates in FFA, so he's taking her along as well. On the 28th, there will be a volleyball home game again. That's senior and parent night. Our first junior high knowledge bowl is on the 29th, and Miss Barella will be taking them to Cloudcroft. And Miss LeMay and her student council kids will be doing the fall carnival on the 30th from 4 to 6 at the gym. And that's everything.
Busy couple weeks.
Mhm.
With cancer awareness.
To Thursday.
With the silent auction.
Is there a silent auction?
There
today?
is a silent
Goodies?
auction. Mm-hmm.
Baked goods?
Or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Any questions for Ms. Barilla? Thank you. Mr. Patterson.
So I'll start with construction. I'll start with the negative first and then get to the positive. Track, they started on it. We've told them all along that they could start prepping it once we quit having home games. I've been clear since May that we needed access to the field for practice until after Friday. And this morning they tried to come to me and tell me that no longer can we access the field because we can't step across the track. So it's been a little bit of a blender day on that. It ended with them building a bridge for our kids to cross the track to go to football practice today and tomorrow. And on Thursday, since it's pregame, we have a home volleyball game. It's usually just practice anyway. We will adjust on Thursday so that they can keep moving forward with what they're doing. What they've done is they've already laid the blacktop. It's not curing as fast as they hoped it would because the temperature's not.
Right.
It's temperature's fine. It's just not hot enough to cure as fast as they want to. And you can't step on it while it's curing. You can't do anything on it. We've already had a couple incidences where we've had to correct some kid behavior cutting across. But ultimately, it did come down with a solution and got it taken care of. And our students are practicing football there for their last week.
Hopefully it was some of our lighter kids, huh?
But they built. I was like, that's a pretty fancy bridge for 2 days. I mean, I would have felt comfortable walking across it, and I'm going to test furniture out before I go anywhere. CTE building passed the fire inspection last week with the exception of, and it passed, but he wanted some adjustments to the fire hoods that are over the stoves, the emergency pull stations for those. He felt were too close to the hoods and kids might run from the fire instead of pulling it, which we'd rather them run than get burned. So they're relocating that. We could have started moving in while they were relocating that. Our furniture hopefully is going to be in anytime soon. And so talking to Ms. Vahels, we may just wait till the new furniture's here to move in. So we're not moving twice, but it did pass fire inspection, which means our gym passed fire inspection because they redid that also. And so we're in good shape there. New building, be honest, I hadn't been in it until yesterday in a while. Yesterday I walked through it. It is exciting. The spaces that always in the back of my mind is it going to be big enough? Is it going to be big enough? Or going to be big enough? The rooms are nice size. Now, of course, they don't have cabinets in any of them yet, but the rooms are nice size. They're not much different than what we currently have room size. The science labs, the way they're set up, is cool. The flow of the building's cool. The multi-purpose room, which is an area, the multi-purpose cafeteria, I was a little nervous about standing in it now that there's sheetrock and walls around it, is good size. Their offices are nice, so it's getting exciting. They get a little bit more sheetrock. We'll talk about taking a tour. They can only be cautious going too quick with the board to take a tour. So maybe not next month, but maybe in December. By then, we'll be ready to take a walk through there. But it is exciting what they're doing. Right now, they're just working hard to try to get it dried in before winter and weather gets here. And they're working along out the track. They're working 7 days a week to try to only hinder us for a couple weeks time instead of 30 days. So they are working hard on that. Staffing updates, I was so excited the first year that for the first time in 5 years, we were fully staffed, and we're not right now. We've got an open special education teacher, but we're in the process of checking references on somebody right now that could fill that bill. We have an open middle school, still calling it a teaching position, aiming for social studies, science, but pretty much just calling it a middle school teaching position right now. We've had a couple we've liked until we did some checking, and so I think we've got for it in the English position both. We've got a couple for the middle school position to interview, I think, and I think we've got 3 that we just got recently to interview for the English teacher, and I have a follow-up with the previous person that worked for us tomorrow. So hopefully we can get those filled. We hired a head basketball coach yesterday, met with candidates today to let them know who got it and who didn't, and Ms. Baca will be our boys basketball coach. Both our staff members that interviewed did an awesome job of interviewing. I would have felt comfortable with either one of them. They did a very good job. And one of our instructional aides is having to take a job that pays a little better somewhere else that we hate to lose as well. We did hire a new custodian, started yesterday, Monique Haran, started yesterday and is already doing a great job and heard several positive comments. I haven't seen the hallway at Clegg mopped so many times as I have in the last 2 days. She's doing a good job. Our preventive maintenance plan that y'all approved last month was approved by the state. Community appreciation, last week I wasn't able to attend, or whenever the city council meeting was, I wasn't able to attend, but there was a email chain that was going around at one point that was just not painting everything that took place homecoming week and city, their community fair, I guess is a better word.
Community festival.
It wasn't just overly positive about it. And so I wrote a letter to the mayor to read to the city council, showing our appreciation for all the help we got from the fire department, the help from painting the sea to the bonfires, everything they did. Chief of police helping with prayers, that parade, city council, and all those things, and then commented, because I went the next day to the town fair and how nice and pleasant it was put together, just to get some positive out there. And there's been some positive feedback about that may create some more joint opportunities for our students with some of the community places out there. Vehicle, I can't remember if I had this on the last one or not. I did receive an estimate for what a new Suburban would cost. In the process of talking to the gentleman about that, I learned that they'll take some of our other vehicles on trade-in, all of them. And so
Do it.
I'm working on that to see what we give us. And at this point, I'm not sure I really even care. Just get them out of here. So working on that to hopefully in this late fall, early spring, if we can figure out the funding on that, we can come together and do a server, because we need at least a third one, and then hopefully in another year or year or two we can get a fourth one. Get them spread out a little bit so they'll all need to be replaced at the same time. And then I had a surprise visit from Deputy Kelly Gordon today from the Sheriff's Department. We've been working for a couple of years with the city to try to get an SRO. The Sheriff's Department has already created an SRO that goes to Hondo 2 days a week and goes to Corona 2 days a week.
Yep.
They're in the process of trying to hire a second one. The police units, they're wanting to put all the school logos on it, including Rudolph's, even though they won't necessarily go there except in response. So she's a new hire, that's strictly her job. We walked around the campus, introduced her to some parent staff, Ms. Barola, some students. The students were funny because they saw the police and they're like, Mr. Patterson was getting arrested. And I said, not today. But that was kind of exciting, and it doesn't replace or undo the other things we're working on with the chief, but it's another step in the right direction, considering everybody's having a hard time finding officers right now. It's just, I think the Sheriff's Department's down 5 or 6. He's trying to hire 2. And so the good news is we'll get a present. The state police officer that last year started making the present here is back on days. So he started making the presents here already. And so we'll get all 3 departments coming in and out and just hanging out and seeing our kids. She actually likes to teach classes and go read to them and be involved with the students. I think in one school she's even had to sub a couple times. So, and loves it. She tells them the same thing. I tell them, I may not teach you lesson plans, but they'll learn something and we'll have fun. So, that
So
was
we're
kind of
looking at
exciting
2 days
thing.
a week with them, or?
Well, right now she's booked for 2 days a week. So they're trying to hire the second person. And
Okay.
then what'll happen is we might have her one day, the other person another day. And so it's still a work in progress, but we'll see her around even though she's not completely assigned to us yet. So,
But from my understanding, the way the grant works is they deployed her to the 2 places that don't have city
Right.
or local.
Local law
Right,
enforcement.
like condo, yeah.
Mhm. So Hondo and Corona are
Right.
getting her right now.
right.
But I did talk to the undersheriff, and he's hopeful that
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
expand it.
I mean, I work in Hondo and she's there all the time. I mean, she sits with the kids, she's in the cafeteria, she's walking around.
Good.
She's the
In
front,
uniform.
she's at the front desk, she works on her computer. Yeah, she's just,
And she's just part of the team there. it
Uniform,
sounds
yeah.
like. So, I
yes,
mean,
she is.
which is what
She's very
we
nice.
hope for wherever we get that. So, and that's what I told, I mean, and I agree because, Corona we at least have the
Exactly.
Sheriff's Department housed here and the police chief tries to be here during the days that we're in school. And so, we can get a pretty quick response. Corona, Hondo, maybe not so much.
Right.
Just because of their distances. So, but it was exciting. It's a nice conversation and always positive because the more we can build those relationships with our kids and law enforcement, if
Absolutely.
they ever have to deal with them in a negative, it's more less stressful.
Right.
I still get stressed when I get pulled over, but it's so.
Any other questions for Mr. Patterson? All right, Miss Marie.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Patterson. Nice to be here tonight. It's a little cooler up here than it is in Alamogordo. It's
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Getting in the
okay.
40s at night. It's crazy.
Yeah. So on the agenda tonight, we have 3 bars. We have the first bar is an increased bar for the universal free lunch. We got a little bump from what we had already budgeted for on that. The next bar is a transfer bar, moving a little money into to pay for some additional compensation from one place to the other. Now, you know how that goes. You just have to move it around a little bit. We put it in one place and then we need it in another. So that's what that's all about. And then the same with the transfer bar for the 11,000 to cover the function that was a little bit negative there. So those are the 3 bars that we request approval for, and then we move on into the checklisting. And are there any questions? Wait, first, are there any questions on the bars? I'm sorry, I'm just moving along. No, everybody, okay. Then the next ones are the checklistings. where all the money's going. So are there any questions on any of the checks?
Nope.
Okay. And then the PO listing as well.
And some of those have been paid, they just haven't been cleared?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're looking at your charts. Everything seems to be kind of on par for what it was last month even. A little bit more expenditure than last month than last year, but that's could be your construction that's going on right now.
I see a bar for the lights. Do we only get those for the football field?
So
Check.
we did the patchwork to get them to working as good as they were. So it was cost there, yeah, that's what that was for. I did let them know that the one light pole is back where it is, so they're, when they have a break over here, they're gonna go back and look at it and see if there's something they missed or something they can do. And part of it's
They
the
just
age of the lights.
tear them down and just do new
God, I'm
ones.
so tired of it.
I just didn't know if that was additional.
Yeah, no, it was,
Years.
it
It was
was
the
what
bond
they
passes.
jumped on and fixed what they did above. With the
Here's
bulbs.
the bond pass.
They changed all the bulbs, they changed all the burnout bulbs, and even with as many lights as we had out, the new bulbs were so bright, they actually, it's probably the brightest the field's been, at least in the 5 years I've been here, so.
And the grass
Closer to
pots.
8, yeah. Yeah, and the reflective grass helps.
Have a grass party this stuff, so.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Marie.
And then there's the cash reports and the revenue reports and expenditure reports. And then there's the bank reconciliations. We were waiting on a few receipts, so they're not quite reconciled for the end of the month.
I was
But
gonna say, neither one of them were.
yeah, no, we had a couple of receipts that were still outstanding, so they did get there. But we are working on it, and next month they will be reconciled.
We're actually implementing a new process that Marie came up with, where we're gonna reconcile halfway through the month, and so we can get half of it done then, and so it's not at the end of the month where we figure out somebody had to turn in a receipt, or it's, so, see if that,
Yeah,
helps get them reconciled, so.
we've got a few things in process with those.
Well, it doesn't happen very often. It's not like it's chronic.
Right. Anyway, so those are the basic things on my paperwork. And I did want to kind of give a little bit of an update on the audit. I had reached out to, I hadn't heard from Carlos in a little bit, so I reached out to him yesterday and he requested a few more items. So I'm working on getting him those by the end of the week. I did ask him when the audit was due, and he said November 15th, so we'll know in the next week or so how things are.
And we'll have the exit conference prior to it being submitted, right?
Right.
All right, any questions for Ms. Marie? Moving on, approval of the consent agenda items. We need to pay our bills and approve the bars.
I move to approve paying bills and the bars.
Second.
Moving seconded. Any question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Couple discussion items, substitute pay.
Substitute pay, as y'all hear me say, month in and month out, we have a hard time finding substitutes. Marie's worked in a couple other schools and kind of looked at what we were paying and compared to most school districts, even though we had upped it when I first got here substantially, it's still not hanging with what some of the other schools are paying. So what we're looking at doing is paying a non-certified 130 per day. Right now, everybody's making 120 per day, just to put it in perspective. Certified, which means they've got their teacher's license and are subbing, would make 160 per day. Is what we're looking at doing, seeing if that can't help us find some quality subs that are willing to.
What was that one before?
They were both, since I've been here, they've both been 120 or When we
Wow.
upped it, we didn't do a difference between,
Certified.
at one point, there was a
Wow.
difference between certified and non-certified, but the last couple years when it's been a couple years since we upped it, and
Right.
everything else has gotten raises, but we hadn't addressed the sub-pay. So hopefully that'll help us a little bit more, get some people coming in and doing that. It's kind of in the middle. There's some bigger districts that are paying
A little bit
more, there's some districts paying a little bit less. It's kind of in the middle between what a lot of districts are paying. So.
And then the assessment data?
So we got a couple things. One, we got today's embargo, so I can't talk about that. But the other one was unembargoed last week, and they didn't do it. If you want to take it and pass it around, I made copies, but didn't get it put in the book. So, I think earlier in the year, I told you I was a little concerned about our testing and where it was going to come out. Actually, it's prettier than we expected and not where we wanted. So, if you look at the top three things that are listed as elementary, and what's over to Rice's perception, you can see it compared to 2023 and 2024. So from last year to this year, elementary math grew 21%. So we have 21% more students proficient. ELA, we have it kind of flatlined, but it's kind of been flatlined for a little bit. And that's with our teachers using the letters, doing the programs that the state's wanting us to use. Science, last year or year before last was a weak year. This last year was back up to 40%. So elementary showed some pretty growth. We did have one grade level that was 100% proficient. We had another grade level that was 76% proficient. And so that played well into why our percentages came up. Middle school, where we had a concern, still have the concern, especially in math. And in math right now with Miss Baca, Coach Baca, and Miss Johnson. I was in there the other day, and the tag team that they've got going on and the stuff they're doing with our kids, I predict we're going to see great growth in our middle school math this next year, which will translate into future years, helping our high school math scores as well. High school math, this is Algebra 2, so we do know that, which is no longer a required course. I'll talk about that in just a second, a little bit, since we're talking about math, but 0% proficient, which I think the state numbers like under 10% or around 10% in Algebra 2. It's not, Algebra 2 has not been a good number for a while. ELA stayed flat, and high school science stayed flat. Depending on who we get hired for ELA, hopefully we can get that number up. And I know with the things that Miss Howard's already doing with science, those scores will come up. As a district, you can see where we were in our graduation rate. It's back up to 89%. Just remember, once a kid doesn't graduate, he affects us for 3 years. It's whether he goes to get it, and they don't care if he goes and gets a GED, then goes on to college, gets a job and all that. It's strictly, did they graduate from school? And if a kid leaves here and goes to Texas and enrolls in school and then doesn't graduate from that school, it still impacts us, even though we didn't get to finish that off. From a testing standpoint, what Ms. Brola and Ms. Johnson have been working on with our early releases and our Fridays is how to use data to inform instruction, how to go back and reteach, how to measure things sooner instead of waiting for such big pockets to do that. And we're using Renaissance for a lot of that, but we're also using what's the name of this? We're using Amira. And the mirror will be interesting because the mirror is the state test that we're required to be using, and there's the verdict's not out on if it's how good an assessment tool it is yet or not. Some say it's better than the old iStation. Some people say they still use an iStation because they like the data better. So just depends who you talk to.
Is that for ELA only, or
It's for both.
Yes.
for math and ELA?
And
Is
the
it
piece about-
focus,
and the
is it
piece about-
focus on algebra 2 as well?
So Amira is only K through 5.
Oh,
Here's K through 5.
It's really cool.
Renaissance does go all the way up, and we have all of that, but that's what, if you remember last year, Ms. Johnson and Coach LeMay started with the freshmen with the pilot program that they were doing, and I think this year they're doing it with the freshmen and sophomores. And that doesn't fix a whole lot today, but I think what it's going to do in the long run is really going to make a difference, especially with what Ms. Baca and Jennifer are doing, because now you got a series of things that are following a similar system and working together to get our kids where they need to be. The interesting thing that the state has thrown us a curveball on is in 2020, remember they told us Algebra 2 is no longer a required course. 2029, Algebra 2, I'm trying to think what the third, there's another word that goes with it, Algebra 2. It's got a.
it's applied or
It's what?
applied or come,
It's kind of like
com
applied, it's
something.
Algebra 2, it's like a new Algebra 2.
right.
That they have to have a semester's worth, and then we have to figure out what they're going to take the second semester that's basically deals with geostats that nobody is certified to teach at the moment. Nobody is certified to teach. Math coaches are having to research what it even is, and they haven't told any of us that, and we're in the middle of math adoption right now. So whatever books we adopt have to be able to do that. And so that's the headache that we're fighting with, and then they wonder why, as a state, our test scores aren't where we all want them. So
You said we have new math teachers for the middle school, right?
it's not,
Ms. Baca?
yes.
Where'd the old teacher go?
Huh?
Where'd the old teacher go? Different class?
Teachers,
Teachers?
teachers went to a different class.
So the math adoption, are we looking at doing something K through 12, one publisher? Are we going to split it again? What
Well, it's
We're gonna
early,
have
it's early in
some-
that.
continuum,
Yeah.
or is it?
It's early in that adoption. The hard problem to find is a good elementary program that also has a good high school component, or a good high school program has a good elementary component to it. That is the hard part. Saxon back in the day probably was the most consistent one,
Right.
but even it stopped after geometry. I mean, but it was consistent through geometry. It didn't have an algebra 2 for a long time. It didn't have an algebra, or maybe just the district I worked at, we didn't use Saxon for algebra 2. And so it's early in that. The other thing that plays into that, and so everybody's trying to push math adoption back a year, because the other thing that plays into that is we now also are working on a math plan that next year has to be in place. And so the math plan needs to match the adoption, needs to match this thing that has snuck under everybody's radar for 2029, that nobody's been a part of being able to talk about it, discuss and discuss, however you want to say that. And so, in the world where they want to try to fix math, they've got too many moving parts that don't seem to be connecting going on right now. So, math adoption is very early. We're just now collecting information from vendors. Ms. Johnson's helping guide that. The book companies are doing for the county for Region 9 county, but I don't think that's even until January or February that they'll be here with their stuff, which is probably a good thing right now until we kind of figure out what's going on the 2029 thing. That hit superintendents last Thursday, was when it hit all of our radars. So,
How come it was swept under the rug, like you say?
they'll say that it wasn't. They said that there was, that superintendents had plenty of times to speak on it, that there was a committee that was put together, which they've named some committee, and I know some of the people whose staff were on the committee, so I've been reaching out to them so they can find out what was going on, because it was, maybe they flew it in when we were dealing with the 4-day week and the calendar days and the everything else, because that happened with a couple other things where they would do public hearings at the same time, and one would get advertised and the other one.
Oh,
And so I don't have an answer for that yet. That's what we're all trying to figure out as superintendents and get a handle on.
And they haven't been collecting data, that's what you said as well?
I don't know about that. What they didn't do is collect information from superintendent, our input on it, is what I meant to say. I don't know about data. I'm not sure where it came from and where it even, I mean, geostats, the best guess is the statistics involving geology and geography and those types of things, which could be a neat thing to learn, but I don't know what the benefit is of it moving forward. So, and if we're going to have to do Algebra 2 and 29, that contradicts what legislation just passed on Algebra 2 not being a required course. All of that being said, it's still the metric they use to test if we're proficient or not is Algebra 2. So,
Makes perfect sense.
and there'll be more information to come on that as we move forward.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to action items. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 policies. I think we can give a second reading. We can approve them tonight if you all choose to. We've gone through them last month. I don't know if there's any questions this month on them. There weren't last month. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve all 5 at once.
I move to approve all policies pertaining.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Executive session. Let's go. Motion to go into executive session.
Move to go into executive session.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call vote. Mr. Barilla. Ms. Samar.
Yes.
Somewhere. Mr. Cerner.
Aye.
And I. So, executive session at 6:37. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe
Thank
going
you.
home.
Be
Thank
safe.
you. Boy, you guys are step.